Antiques Roadshow theme tune just on acid, isn't it? It sounds like Baron Silas Greenback from that.
It's the Metals.
Is their latest ration out of fashion?
It's not rapping though, it's more like the kind of the Pet Shop Boys. Maybe a prog song with swearing in it. Like a good quality tikka masala.
Progcast UK.
Right, welcome to week 7 of the Progcast. Today we're looking at Aquarius by Haken. So, when the tunes are all in 7/4 with trumpeters aligned with guitars, each piece over 9 minutes, as prog rock found new stars, is this the dawning of the age of Aquarius?
That's quite a tune. I don't know if it's prog though.
Oh, it certainly is.
Okay.
That's incredibly tricky.
And also the 40-year-old version of an awesome movie.
Is that, or is that not the best ending to a film? It's one of the best endings to a film that I can think of.
This is a really interesting choice, mate. And the first time I listened to this album I was on the way to work. It was a nice hot day. I got the windows rolled down, and I was playing it quite loud. I actually had to roll the windows up.
Oh, why?
Dude, I felt a bit ashamed.
What? Dude, be proud.
I'll tell you what.
Wait, you felt more ashamed of this than some of the previous albums that we've had on?
Well, Roger Waters, the windows were up. Yeah, I'm not going to play that. The feeling that I got, I'll describe it as being akin to a child getting caught devouring a whole Easter egg the day before Easter.
That's surely a good thing.
It was a mixture of pure guilt and joy at the rich sickliness that I was indulging in, but I did feel like it was too much for people outside to hear a guy listening to that.
Wow. Even more than like acquiring the taste.
Again, I wouldn't put the windows down for that.
Oh, well, I guess that's saying something. You thought it might be acceptable.
It's you know the first song, The Point of No Return.
Yeah.
It's really Disney. It's sort of like rolling up to work listening to the Lion King soundtrack or something.
Go on, do you want to expand on that? Why do you feel it's Disney?
I think as a whole this album is very theatrical. That song, it's got that "A child is born tonight."
Yeah.
That's like the opening sort of thing. You can see the curtains rolling and people getting.
When you wish upon a star.
It's really rich, and I think it was just too much for me to play loud.
I would say that's good though. I'd say it's quite thematic. I mean, you say it's like Disney, but obviously the Disney soundtracks are the soundtracks to films where there's obviously narrative. So I think that definitely comes across like that, as you say. Like that's quite a melancholic start, because I think it's about it's about a mermaid being born. Is it something?
Yeah, exactly. It is the start of the story, and it works well in a theatrical way.
Yeah, I think it's strong theatrically. Yeah.
It's a bit rich,
right?
And I almost find that it's a bit too rich in places. This album,
right?
Now, I think I probably came to this with the sort of paradigm of this is going to be prog metal. And so I was expecting more metal and less rich.
Well, that's the thing. There's obviously the kind of two camps here, where there's metal bands that are a bit progressive or have progressive elements, and then there's prog bands that have decided to mix in heavier sounds, like we spoke about Pendragon with like the kind of growled vocals or really like crunching guitars. And I'd say that Haken are definitely in the second group of that. They're definitely prog with kind of slightly heavier mentality.
The thing is, what I would say, and one of my biggest praises of this album is that, like no other band that I've heard before, they mix the styles so well, like really, really well. And you've got a fusion of all of those very light themes and theatrical parts, but actually the metal parts sound proper. I think, that sounds ridiculous, but remember our criticism of Passion?
Yeah.
And that's kind of a caricature of what you get. If you're going to be in a prog band, a very obvious thing to do is, well, let's have like quite happy stuff and then put a metal bit in.
Okay.
But these guys sound like they could very easily be a full-on metal band. The growl vocals don't sound odd. The metal riffs sound proper death metal. But they've managed to make it sound in place, and you have those in the context of completely happy and well-done songs. It's
kind of weird how they'll go from like guitar solos, guitar runs that sound just like kind of Tom and Jerry sound clips, and then it'll just sink straight across into quite mellow, kind of slow, like emotional sections.
Exactly. And I think some of those elements have been done before. And if you look at Dream Theater, you've got those funny sort of jazz reprises and tongue-in-cheek sort of sections.
Yeah.
But what I like, and because I'm quite a big metal fan, is how well the heavy parts come across here.
Right. Okay, so we'll revise what I said before and say that there's either the progressive metal side, the metal progressive side, but Haken are actually right down the middle and can do both.
Well, I think that they can do both more than other bands that I've heard. You know, and again, I would come back to Passion, where it's like, well, it's contemporary to put metal parts in. We could try growling.
It doesn't feel forced though. They have parts that are kind of like jazzy, or some parts that are kind of I don't know, almost like a kind of fairground theme. You know, like the Beatles were a fan of that kind of fairground Wurlitzer carousel kind of sound, and they have that kind of feeling as well. And then other parts there's kind of really southern rock, almost kind of Blackstone Cherry sound.
That's right, yeah.
It all mixes into a big kind of...
I think the other thing that I would say on that point is that actually it works well with a theatrical album that's got a story, because it's a story about basically a mermaid child, isn't it? And you've got like very, very dark parts in there, and so those parts have the growled vocals. You have light parts in there, which is the celebration of the child's birth, and so you have light parts. And I think that's again a very theatrical device, and they use it well, rather than just having sections that are growled for no reason.
Yeah.
What I would say, and this is probably just me rather than you, I found myself wishing that there was a bit more heavy there. The hardcore sections are dangled in front of your face and then whisked away into some sort of fairground ride. It's disorientating. Keep that crunch going. I liked it.
This is, as you say, I had the exact opposite feeling. I wanted more fairground. I wanted more of this kind of, I guess you could call it wackiness. You know, more of the experimental side.
It's quite unhinged. It's funny because you actually have to work very hard to get an unhinged sound, but it sounds crazy.
But to me, it seems like those are the moments when they kind of come to life. Those are the moments that are full of fun, full of energy, full of interest, and something that I've not heard before. Yeah. Whereas the kind of, I guess, the more serious side of things, the more kind of heavier bits, especially like the growled vocals, I just thought it's not bad growled vocals. You know, like I criticised Pendragon for doing that. It's not bad in itself. I just find it a bit dull.
My own joy of hearing how heavy it could get, I sort of did want to hear a bit more.
Now for me, I think the perfect Christmas cake is one that's got a very thin sliver of cake and then loads of marzipan and icing on top. That's what I'd want to go for.
I don't want to be called like the guy that enjoys the bready part of the cake. I like the sweet bit too. I thought you like a hunk of bread, hunk of meat.
Exactly. I like a whole bag of Haribo, maybe two. You know, it's...
If you'd had that before this, maybe a bit more lucid.
I find the vocalist very good, the vocals, but the vocal parts are very, very unimaginative. And I find they're always quite slow, usually quite similar melodies, just like one note, not really deviating.
That's correct. I think that the vocals are probably one of the parts that I enjoyed least about this. There's a lot of great musicality. However, you have kind of highlighted how great the sound is in terms of changeability and experimentalism. And when we talked about IQ's Dark Matter, what we said there was that, you know, despite they've got some very interesting musical parts and actually some quite catchy melodies, the clarity of concept was completely lost. I couldn't tell if it was a concept album.
Oh yeah,
you were saying
it's only what you told me.
I had no clue, and the forums had no clue either. And I think what you can say about this as another positive is that amongst all of that chaos, etc., you actually have very, very clear lyrical themes.
Yeah.
And I know that maybe the melodies aren't as imaginative as they could be, but at least I'm not losing the kind of overarching theme of the album, and that's very, very well done.
For the whole of the album, I was just thinking, God, I wish they could collaborate with someone like Mike Patton on this, who could just add a fast, maybe almost like rapping kind of vocal. Like maybe if it was mashed up with some sort of new metal or something like that, it might actually add an urgency and energy to the vocal parts that they have in the like the instrumental parts.
That's correct. They're clearly stronger musically minded than they are lyrically minded, or
sorry, carry on.
Melodically minded in terms of vocals.
I'd almost go as far as saying that I was actually sitting through the vocal parts, waiting for them to go to another madcap kind of.
And I think you can expand
instrumental
that.
Adventure.
You can expand that to an overarching criticism of prog, which is always you get naff vocals followed by epic music.
See, I don't think so. I think that's
like bands like Camel, again, great music, not great vocally.
No, but they have the vocal melodies have hooks, or at least progression, have some difference, you know. There are some moments where they crack inside. I mentioned like the southern rock sound, and he's really got a good kind of growl on his voice, kind of a cocky, kind of swaggery vocal sound. But he doesn't do that nearly enough. I think that's only on like parts of a couple of the tracks.
That's right, that's one song or so. Is that Drowning in the Flood's got that on?
Yeah, I think it comes back a bit later as well.
And I actually probably enjoyed most Drowning in the Flood's one of my highlights, because it's a song that's relatively intense, punchy, and has those heavy guitars, and he does some of that kind of balls out vocals with that southern rock, and it worked well.
That's the thing, he's obviously got the skills to do that, or do the growl vocals, but they just don't seem to use it as
I'd
much
wind the
as-
window down for that one, but I put it back up again for the Lion King theme tune.
Mate, but that's part of it. I really like that. I think that's a really, really good mix.
It's all marzipan. Get it down. Let's talk a little bit about, I mean, we always want to compare with bands that they sound like. Musical influences. One of them that really sticks out for me is Streams. It sounds like you've sort of mixed Hanson in with a prog band.
Hanson?
Ooh, bap, bap. It's so Hanson.
Oh, no, I see what you're saying there. I actually listened to that, and that's one of my favourite vocal melodies, because as we say, it's actually something different, something catchy. And there are literally a handful of catchy vocal...
On a scale of 1 to Lion King, it's pretty high again, though, isn't it?
Pretty Mufasa.
It gets the Mufasa seal of approval.
But no, that actually reminded me a lot of Echelin. Because they go for that kind of high school barbershop groups, and it's like it's not the coolest kids in school, but it's actually really interesting. It's that kind of like just not caring about that.
That's right.
They stick it in. It sounds like you said, like Hanson. Oh well, we're going to be compared to like kind of lame pop groups or whatever, but who cares? And I think that makes it really interesting.
You have to have quite a wide palette to enjoy all of the aspects of this album, but I did actually find that quite fun. It's quite a fun and free track.
That's prog though,
and it's supposed to represent like the happiness of being free in the water, isn't it, for the mermaid?
Yeah.
No, again, that's a great example of how the sort of music mirrors the lyrical content. I also noticed a little bit of a comparison here that I'd like to show you. Sadly, it's not a Roger Waters with Tom Jones one.
Right, okay, let's see if we can top that.
Listen to these little intros here. Yeah, that's Firth of Fifth. Listen to this little intro here. They sound really similar.
In that it's piano.
No, there's like a cheeky little mirroring of the same piano intro.
I don't know, when I listened to that I thought of can't remember the name of the song now. Vanessa Carlton, is it?
Vanessa Carlton, yeah. Oh god, what's that? That's
1,000 Miles, is it?
Yeah. It's one or the other. It's ripped off from somewhere.
That's really bad. I should have looked that up, shouldn't I?
Very rarely do you get Hanson and Vanessa Carlton in the same Progcast.
Yeah, but that's I don't know, that's kind of thing. We've talked about a lot of different stuff. Tom and Jerry, the Lion King. It's all there.
If I'm honest, I really do wish the Gentle Giant had just put a bit of Vanessa Carlton in something something palatable, because I can't take these clean chromatones.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair point. Overall, how would you rate it?
Well, I'd say this is a great example of technical musical proficiency. Brilliant guitar playing.
That really sounds like a backhanded compliment.
No, it's not meant to be. There's
Right.
great guitar playing, brilliant drums, vocals are quite good as well. And have you heard
But-
the song Sun?
Yeah.
Phenomenal bass playing at the start. This comes in with this cheeky bass lead.
Right.
I'd say it's a fantastic example of how prog can draw on loads of different types and influences and be very humorous with it. And I think better than albums I've heard before, I love the way the musical themes mirror the lyrics. I'd say it is a success. For me, parts of it were too rich. I can't eat all marzipan.
Okay, well, I'm going to defend the richness part. I'd say it's... I'd define this as eclectic prog with heaviness to it, rather than prog metal with eclectic parts. I would say. I did actually go through in time... This sounds really nerdy. I went through in time the different, like, what I would describe as the serious metal-y parts.
Let's on the statistics then. What percentage metal is it?
I'd say it's about a third metal.
Well, you've got to have some kind of standards here. So Judas Priest is 100% metal. Where is this?
Right.
I'm made of metal!
Okay, so on a scale from Judas Priest to Lion King...
There's a graph that I would love to see with Mufasa's big ass face on it.
Right, yeah, I'd say it's about like a third of the way along.
Sure.
So, I mean, I think that's a good mix personally for me. The weird thing about this album is that every time I listen to it, I like it, but I seldom often feel like listening to it. Does that make sense?
No, because you need to get into a certain zone for it.
Yeah,
you don't always want to have a very theatrical long album, and especially the first song, it does have to be in a mood to hear it.
Yeah, it's like a game of Risk. I enjoy it when I'm playing it, but I don't always want to start because it's like, oh, actually, this is quite a daunting prospect.
You know, you're getting into something serious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do I want to spend 3 hours on the? Do I want to really concentrate, or it's like
both large games of Risk and listening to Prog in your room alone have social ramifications that need to be considered.
I know this isn't painting me a good light.
we'll discuss that.
If any ladies are listening. No, I am taken. Okay, that was Aquarius by Haken. Thanks for listening. See you in another 8 weeks. Bye. No, I think no, sorry, we'll scrap that. That was rubbish. I didn't have anything to go.
I think. No, hang on. I don't really.